Former Republican governor from Minnesota, Pawlenty, joining the conversation on that. So, and I wonder how much that plays into the president's thinking. Perhaps not at all, but the split in his own party. What do you think, Governor?
Connell, I think the split is overstated. There's a whole bunch of polling out that shows that the overwhelming majority of the Republican primary voters, Republican voters, support stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, including a tactical strike or beyond if necessary. So there's anecdotal and important voices that are heard, but within the Republican Party in terms of their isolationist views, but they're a distinct minority.
So it seems like you're saying then that the Tucker Carlsons of the world, Steve Bannons of the world are making more noise and getting more attention in terms of the rank and file. Here's another clip has been getting so much attention, and to your point, maybe too much. Tucker with Senator Ted Cruz.
What's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. We're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
So that's not emblematic, Governor, of some sort of a debate among the rank and file Republican, voters out there? You don't think so?
It's not insignificant because those are loud and important and highly prominent voices. But again, the data at present does not support the notion that any major bloc of the Republican Party does not support the possibility of a strike in Iran. And by the way, if you look at Iran's situation, it's a country run by religious fanatics. They would not be deterred by the mutually assured destruction doctrine. They've called for death to America and the annihilation of Israel, and they are on the doorstep of a nuclear weapon. So the idea that the United States would be misguided by trying to take out that capability, if need be, if Israel won't, we can't get it through diplomatic means. I think people who think like that are not thinking clearly. In history, shows isolationism is a losing formula for the United States.
One other subject, what do you make of the team that the president has around him here? There were reports that perhaps even the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, but certainly Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, were not being included in some high-level meetings. But then the White House, when we spoke to them about that, pushed back on that, saying this is just a lazy regurgitation of a fake news story that both the White House and the Vice President have already debunked. And they said that the director, Gabbard, remains focused on her mission, providing accurate and actionable intelligence to the president, cleaning up the deep state, keeping the American people safe, secure, and free. What would you say about, Team Trump here?
If it were true, Connell, that the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence were excluded from key strategic and tactical meetings with this topic in mind, that would be unimaginable, and I think really reckless, or it would be a condemnation of the individuals who are excluded as having lost the trust of the president. I hope that none of that is true, and I hope that they are included and he's got the full team focused on this.
It was interesting what the president said the other day, though, on the plane when somebody brought up the fact that Gabbard had testified that Iran wasn't very close to having nukes, and the president basically said, well, I don't care what she said, but they are.
Yeah, and of course, that's not ideal from not being on the same page, as she later said they were. But you have a bunch of other data points that support the notion, the president's notion on this, including the recent IAEA report, Israeli intelligence, other Western intelligence agencies, and whether they're a day away or 2 weeks away, I think the consensus clearly is in the intelligence communities worldwide that they're very close.
When the way he did it today, as a final thing, Governor, before we let you go, saying, all right, within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to make my decision. What do you think the thinking was behind that? And, does it matter at all? Because as I said earlier, he could literally do it in 10 minutes if he wanted, because that's within 2 weeks. But what do you think the point was?
I think what he's really trying to do, and I think it's a good strategy, which is put maximum pressure on Iran to give up their nuclear capabilities diplomatically and through discussions and negotiation. And all negotiations about leverage, and he's trying to create more leverage. And the rhetorical flourishes and the deadlines, even if he doesn't keep them, are part of that pressure campaign. And I think it's a good tactic.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.